I died on the New Year's Eve, the night of a heavy snowstorm. It was the biggest snowstorm in 10 years, and my body was buried and vanished under the snow. Grandma had made my favorite braised ribs, waiting for me to come back and wish her a happy new year. She said, "Naomi, if I don't love you, no one will. But, Grandma, you will never see your Naomi again." Grandma knelt in the snow for a long time, before finally finding her beloved little granddaughter, on the third day of the Lunar New Year. My parents took their adopted daughter to Grandma's house to pay a New Year's visit. Grandma opened the door with a beaming smile. Not even noticing my parents, she pushed through the crowd, looking for me. "Where's Naomi, my precious granddaughter? I miss her so much." Aside from my parents and adopted sister Jennifer, the doorway was empty. Grandma paused for a moment, her smile fading slightly. She turned to ask my parents where I was. "Why hasn't Naomi come? Was something holding her up?" "I'll wait for her. Once she arrives, we can start the meal. I made her favorite braised ribs today, just waiting for her to come back." Jennifer, seeing that Grandma was only concerned about me and ignored her, looked visibly upset. A flash of resentment flickered in her eyes, but she quickly replaced it with a sweet smile. Stepping forward to take Grandma's hand, "Grandma, Jennifer misses you too. Jennifer got second place in the final exams this year. Isn't that amazing?" Grandma smiled faintly and said, "Good." She then brought up my name. "What about the first place? Is it Naomi?" I remember Naomi always brought home first place every year, showing me her certificates. When Grandma talked about me, her face lit up with pride, her words full of love and admiration. Grandma pushed Jennifer's hand away and turned back to my parents, asking again about my whereabouts. Jennifer glared at the hand she was pushed away from. Her face darkened, and she lowered her head. Remaining silent, her fists were tightly clenched by her side, and I knew she must be furious with me. "Why aren't you two saying anything? Where's Naomi? You didn't bring her with you, did you? You left her alone at home." Grandma's tone became sharp as she questioned my silent parents, the smile on her face gone. Seeing my parents silent, she grabbed a down jacket from the sofa and was about to head out to search for me, scolding my parents for their coldness. "You two are really something. You treat the adopted daughter like a treasure and leave your own biological daughter alone at home without care." When Grandma was about to leave to search for me, my mother finally spoke up to stop her. "Mom, you don't even know where she's gone. How will you find her? It's still snowing outside, it's freezing cold, and your health isn't good. What if you catch a cold?" Grandma noticed the implication in my mother's words. Her chest heaved with anger, and she pointed her finger at my mother, her voice trembling with emotion. "What do you mean by that? Did you kick Naomi out? You know it's snowing outside. How could you bring yourself to send Naomi out there? She's your own daughter, Linda. Is this how you treat your daughter?" My mother looked very upset and fell silent. Seeing the situation, my father stepped in to smooth things over, explaining what had happened. "Mom, Naomi tore up Jennifer's hard-earned winter holiday homework, and Linda and I told her to stand outside as punishment. Who knew she didn't come home all night? And we don't even know which boy she was fooling around with. She was caught in an early romance before, and both Linda and I had to go to a meeting with her teacher." Grandma, shaking with fury, cut through the hidden truth with one sentence. "Did you even ask Naomi for the truth? You'd rather believe the adopted daughter's lies than Naomi's words." Tearing up her homework. "My granddaughter is such a good student. Does she need to tear up her homework? I think this adopted daughter is just a liar, bullying my sweet Naomi." Jennifer stood still, stunned by Grandma's words, her tears falling like pearls from a broken string. As soon as my parents saw Jennifer crying, they rushed to comfort her, but she pushed them away. With red eyes, Jennifer stubbornly stared at Grandma. "Grandma, I know I'm not your biological granddaughter, so you favor my sister more. But my sister really did tear up my homework because the boy she likes confessed to me. She was jealous of me." After saying this, Jennifer sobbed and ran out the door into the snowstorm. My mother panicked and immediately followed Jennifer out the door. My father sighed, speaking with a hint of reproach to Grandma. "Mom, I know Naomi was raised by you since she was little, so it's only natural that you love her more. But Jennifer is also our child now. Can't you treat her equally?" My father looked disappointed as he left Grandma's house. Grandma stared at the suddenly empty house and sat down on the sofa, murmuring to herself, "If you had treated them equally, I wouldn't have had to favor Naomi. You parents don't love Naomi, so if I don't love her more, she'll really have no one left to love her." listening to Grandma's murmuring. My tears blurred my vision. Grandma was the only person in this world who truly loved me. The snow outside kept falling heavier and heavier. And the worry on Grandma's face grew deeper and deeper. She picked up the phone and contacted my teacher. She called every number on the student list, but when she couldn't find any trace of me, Grandma began to cry in desperation. I stood beside her, heartbroken, wanting to gently wipe away the tears from her cheek, but I only touched the cold air. My hand paused, and fell weakly to my side. I was already dead, and I could no longer touch Grandma's warm body. Grandma dialed the police. But she didn't know how long I had been missing. Since I was an adult, a missing person report wouldn't be filed unless I had been missing for more than 24 hours. In helplessness, she hung up the phone and began calling my parents, begging them to look for me. But my mother said, "I don't have time to look for her." Jennifer locked herself in her room crying, refusing to eat or drink. How am I supposed to find that ungrateful, good-for-nothing girl? My father didn't even answer the phone. He was sitting outside Jennifer's room, gently coaxing her with kind words. Grandma was completely heartbroken. She stopped calling anyone, put on her down jacket, and left the house alone. Frost and snow settled on her head, and her hair, already graying, became even whiter. She had forgotten to put on her hat when she left. Her mind only focused on finding her little granddaughter and bringing her home. I followed behind Grandma, watching her tiny figure searching through the snow. She checked all the places I used to go, but couldn't find me anywhere. I felt a heart-wrenching pain, shouting after her. I wanted her to go back home quickly. She was getting old. How could she withstand the cold of this storm? I was already dead. I didn't want my beloved Grandma to suffer because of my death, but she couldn't hear my voice. She stubbornly kept searching, and the snow kept falling harder, eventually covering her ankles. I prayed for Grandma to find me, but at the same time, I didn't want her to find me. If she found me, she could return home, and not have to suffer in the cold anymore. But now, I was just a lifeless body. Unable to respond to her calls, I couldn't bear to imagine how heartbroken Grandma would be when she learned of my death. But that day would come sooner or later. I followed behind Grandma, getting closer and closer to the place where I had died. I died by the school wall. On New Year's Eve, our teacher asked us to upload our winter break homework. After uploading mine, I was about to go to the kitchen to help my mom make dough for bread when Jennifer suddenly burst into tears. My mom rushed out of the kitchen, shoved me aside, and pulled Jennifer into her arms. "Naomi, did you bully Jennifer again? You're the older sister. If you won't take care of your little sister, at least don't bully her." I stood there, helpless, not knowing what I had done to upset Jennifer. This was how it always went. Whenever Jennifer cried, my mom would blame me. I had long grown used to being the one scolded, being the target of my parents' one-sided wrath. I lowered my head, taking the punishment quietly, counting the days until I could visit Grandma for the new year. I missed her, my winter break homework. I just finished my homework, and my sister tore it up. The teacher just told us to turn it in. Jennifer cried loudly, lying through her teeth. I looked up in disbelief. I had never seen Jennifer open her winter break homework because she hadn't even brought it home. That afternoon on the first day of the holiday, I had seen her playing with her desk mate. In the process, she shoved her homework into the drawer of her desk. Her desk mate had asked her why she wasn't taking her homework home, and she had just laughed carelessly, saying, "It's just stupid homework. I'll finish it when school starts. No need to worry about it. During the holidays, I'm going to enjoy myself." Now she was lying without batting an eye, claiming I tore up her homework. "Mom, Jennifer is lying. She didn't even." Before I could finish my sentence, a slap landed across my face. My mom slapped me with so much force that my face instantly swelled up. I stood there, my face red and swollen, tears welling up in my eyes as I looked at my mom, but all I saw was Jennifer's triumphant smirk in her arms. Jennifer is a good girl. She wouldn't lie. Only you, Naomi, are full of lies, pretending to study well while secretly dating boys. My mom embraced Jennifer, her anger clouding her judgment, unwilling to listen to anything I said. Even if she heard me, she wouldn't believe my explanation. I never dated anyone. It was Jennifer who was in an early relationship. Jennifer had a crush on our class president, but he had written me a love letter. She was so jealous that she went mad. She had someone Photoshop naked photos of me, which spread like wildfire in the school group. My reputation was ruined, and it was all over for me. I tried to explain to the teacher, but he didn't care at all. He criticized me for not focusing on my studies, saying I was involved with boys when I should have been preparing for college entrance exams. I had no one to turn to, and I couldn't even tell my parents. If I did, they would only blame me further and make my situation worse. I silently endured everything, facing the bullying of my classmates alone. Every day at school felt like walking on thin ice. Yet Jennifer only pushed further. She pursued the class president for a month and finally got him. Then, every day, she and he would show off their affection right in front of me, as though trying to provoke me, but I didn't care at all. I didn't like the class president. Her over-the-top public display of affection got reported to the disciplinary office. The disciplinary officer was furious and decided to punish both Jennifer and the class president as an example, but Jennifer, with her cunning nature, turned the tables. She pulled out the love letter the class president had written to me, which I had thrown in the trash. She told the disciplinary officer that I was the one dating the class president, and she was being wrongly accused. The love letter was indeed written by the class president, and the intended recipient was indeed me, with witnesses and evidence. My explanation was too weak to be believed. The disciplinary officer called my parents in, harshly reprimanding me in front of them and placing me on the early romance disgrace list. From that day on, my parents, who already favored Jennifer, became even more biased against me. In their eyes, I was just a bad, lying child who secretly dated boys. Now, it was even worse. Jennifer used her usual trick to frame me. As long as they asked her, they could easily see through her lies, but their hearts had already been fully given to Jennifer, and they didn't notice the small details. The door creaked as it opened. My dad came home from shopping, and when he saw the tense atmosphere, he ignored me and went straight to Jennifer. "What's going on, Jennifer? Why are you crying? Who made you upset? Tell Daddy, and I'll go teach them a lesson for you." With my dad supporting her, Jennifer cried even harder and lied more brazenly. "Daddy, my sister tore up my winter homework. Wah, I worked so hard on it, and she just took it and ripped it up. The teacher told us to turn it in today, but I can't." My dad comforted Jennifer, casting a cold, disappointed look at me. His gaze hurt more than any words could. He suggested to my mom, "Let her go stand outside as punishment. She needs to clear her head, otherwise, she'll keep being jealous of her sister and doing foolish things." Jennifer was brought home by my dad. From the very beginning, he treated Jennifer better than he treated me. He told me that Jennifer was the child of an old colleague, and that his old colleague had been very kind to him. So, when the colleague and his wife died in a car accident, my dad took young Jennifer in as his adopted daughter. He told me that Jennifer would now be my little sister. He said Jennifer was pitiful because she had lost her parents at such a young age, and that I should be kind to her and take care of her. But later, I realized that the one who had lost her parents was actually me. Ever since Jennifer came into our home, my mom and dad no longer belonged to me. I was always left forgotten in the corner, enviously watching the warmth of their family of three, licking my wounds in the dark. When Jennifer and I entered junior high, my parents sent me to Grandma's house to finish middle school, using the excuse that they couldn't handle two children at once. It was during those 3 years at Grandma's that I formed a deep bond with her. Grandma treated me so well that it made up for the lack of love I had from my parents. With Grandma's companionship, I seemed to return to the happy and carefree days of the past. If I could, I would rather have stayed with Grandma forever, never returning to that cold home. But things don't always go the way you want. When I started high school, my parents used the excuse that Jennifer was lonely studying alone and forced me to transfer schools. I tearfully said goodbye to Grandma, and my parents shoved me into a car and brought me back home. When I got home, I realized that Jennifer's loneliness was a lie. What she really wanted was to make my life miserable. In those 3 years, Jennifer had earned all of my parents' affection, and she felt the need to show off in front of me, their biological daughter, who was unloved. She maliciously whispered in my ear with a wicked smile, "So what if I'm adopted? Mom and Dad only love me. You're just a poor, unloved little thing." But I was loved. I had Grandma. That little old lady always gave me her special affection. I snapped back to reality when I saw Grandma arguing with the gatekeeper. She insisted on entering the school to find me, but the gatekeeper said there was no one in the school. Grandma, covered in frost and snow, stood silently but with determination in her eyes. She was determined to search every possible place where I might be, not leaving any corner unchecked. The gatekeeper After 5 minutes of a standoff, finally relented and followed Grandma into the school. I watched helplessly as Grandma drew closer and closer to my lifeless body, my heartbeat growing faster and louder. After searching the school buildings, the gatekeeper tried to persuade Grandma to go back. But Grandma insisted, "The school is so big, we've only searched the teaching buildings. There are still many places left." Grandma began searching along the school's perimeter, inch by inch. Grandma had poor eyesight and mild cataracts. I had once promised to earn money to help her get her eyes treated, but she would never live long enough to see that happen. To search more carefully, Grandma tried to squat down, but her waist was bad, and she couldn't bend down, so she was almost crawling forward on her knees. The melting snow seeped into her knees, freezing her to the bone, making her tremble uncontrollably. I couldn't hold back my tears anymore. I kneeled beside her, crawling forward with her. "Grandma, my dear Grandma, I'm so sorry. I promised I would come back to visit you, but now I'm dead, and still, I have to wait for you to find me." The snow continued to fall, and my body was buried under the snow, forming an unnoticeable snow mound. When Grandma finally reached that spot, she couldn't hold back her tears any longer. She used her cold red hands to slowly clear the snow that had begun to freeze, quickly uncovering a small hole in the mound. When she saw the corner of my red down jacket exposed, Grandma became so emotional she could barely catch her breath. The gatekeeper patted her back, calling the police and emergency services. Grandma, who loved me so much, must have instantly recognized that the body buried in the snow was mine. That red jacket was something she had bought for me with her hard-earned retirement money. When she bought the jacket, Grandma had said, "Red is festive and looks best on Naomi for the new year. We must wear red for good luck." But, Grandma, the red jacket didn't bring me good fortune. I died on New Year's Eve, unable to accompany Grandma into the new year, forever staying in the last day of the past year. Grandma collapsed on the snow, desperately scraping away the snow with her hands, each word soaked in blood, her pain unbearable. "Naomi, my dear granddaughter, how could you leave Grandma all alone? Naomi, my little Naomi. Grandma was still waiting for you to come back for the new year. Naomi, Grandma made your favorite braised spare ribs. Come back and eat them." When the police called my parents, they were sitting at the dinner table, having just calmed Jennifer down. On the table was my favorite dish, braised spare ribs, and my mom placed a piece on Jennifer's plate. Jennifer, however, pouted and spoiled her mood, looking at my mom with a whiny tone. "Mom, I don't like braised spare ribs. I prefer sweet and sour ribs. How could you make such a mistake?" My mom was momentarily stunned, staring at the dish in a daze. Jennifer tugged on her arm, pulling her attention back, and my mom finally muttered, "Your sister loves braised spare ribs. Why hasn't she come back yet after all these days?" Still holding a grudge against her own parents, by the end of her sentence, my mom's anger shifted back to me. She angrily poured the whole plate of braised spare ribs into the trash can. "She can come back or not, but if she doesn't come back soon, she should never come back again." Jennifer looked at the braised spare ribs in the trash, and as soon as my mom turned her back, she spat into the trash can, her eyes filled with contempt. Then, she easily soothed my mom again. My mom quickly forgot about me, and the three of them happily sat down to enjoy their dinner. The harsh ringing of the phone broke the moment. Jennifer hopped up to answer it. After hearing the contents of the call, her eyes flickered, and she deliberately walked away to listen. Jennifer feigned ignorance and tricked the police, hanging up and deleting the call history before returning to the table, her face expressionless. What was that? Jennifer, who was calling? The police had called my dad, so my dad asked Jennifer about the call. Jennifer forced a smile, shaking her head and giving a vague answer. "It was nothing, Dad, just a telemarketing call. I already blocked the number." My dad, not suspecting anything, nodded and continued eating. By the time the three of them peacefully went to sleep, my parents still hadn't learned the truth, that I was already dead. After hearing about my death, Grandma was devastated and emotionally overwhelmed. She collapsed from the cold and fainted while kneeling by the snow. Grandma was rushed to the emergency room in an ambulance, and my body was photographed by the police and taken back to the station for investigation. Tears streamed down my face as I followed Grandma into the ER. I saw the red light on, and my uncle rushed to the hospital to sign the necessary papers. The surgery lasted a long time, and when the green light finally came on, it was already morning. My parents never showed up during the whole ordeal. Grandma suffered a stroke, but timely intervention prevented any serious consequences. I saw my uncle's anxious expression soften into relief, and I too could finally breathe a sigh of relief. My uncle, now furious, began calling my parents one after another, but none of them answered. What he didn't know was that Jennifer had silenced their phones so they wouldn't be disturbed while enjoying their family dinner. Finally, at 10 a.m., my uncle's call got through to my parents. He immediately started scolding them in anger. What kind of daughter and son-in-law are you? Your own mother's in the hospital and you don't even care to check on her. I've called you 100 times, and none of you answered. If it wasn't for me staying up late and answering the call, I would have arrived here late, and you'd be crying right now. My uncle's scolding brought my parents to the hospital, and Jennifer followed behind them. Looking guilty, when they arrived, they went straight to the ward. Without even checking on Grandma, they began apologizing frantically to my uncle, promising never to do this again. Jennifer nervously clutched her shirt and meekly apologized to my uncle. Uncle, I put my parents' phones on silent. I'm sorry, it's my fault. Don't blame Mom and Dad. Already frustrated, my uncle became more annoyed when he saw Jennifer's acting. He snorted and began scolding her. What do you mean by that? Are you implying I'm the villain here? Do you know that if I hadn't signed the papers, your grandmother would have been gone by now? Jennifer immediately started crying at his shout, but no one paid attention to her emotions at that moment. My parents were focused on checking Grandma's condition, anxiously hovering by her bed. At noon, Grandma finally woke up, and I could finally relax. My mom, tears in her eyes, leaned forward to ask about Grandma's condition. Grandma didn't speak, but after a brief pause, she reached out and slapped my mom across the face. The sound of the slap echoed loudly in the empty ward, and everyone was stunned. Mom, why did you slap me? I know I was wrong. I'll never silence my phone again. My mom, holding her reddened cheek, assured Grandma tearfully, but Grandma slapped her again, without mercy. As the slap landed, tears fell from Grandma's eyes. Give me Naomi back. Give me my granddaughter back. Why did she have to die, and not you three? You three should be the ones dead. Give me my Naomi back. Grandma cried uncontrollably, and my uncle hurriedly went up to comfort her, propping up several pillows behind her. My parents stood frozen in place, shocked by Grandma's words. Jennifer, feeling guilty, lowered her head and dared not speak. Her tears had stopped. Mom, what do you mean? What happened to Naomi? My mom, looking shocked and fearful, asked Grandma, trembling with disbelief. Grandma, through her tears, waved her hand, signaling my uncle to get them out of the room. Every time she saw them, it reminded her of the tragedy of my death. She was heartbroken for me, and naturally, she hated the people she believed were responsible for my death. My parents, along with Jennifer, were all forced out into the hallway. Just then, the police called again. My mom answered the phone, and as she listened, her whole body began to tremble. By the end of the call, her hands shook so much that she dropped the phone to the floor. The screen shattered into pieces, but somehow, the speakerphone was activated, and the police officer's voice echoed through the hallway. Hello, Ms. Linda, please come to the police station to claim your daughter Naomi's body. The coroner's report is in, and it has been determined that the cause of death was an accident. The fatal wound was located at the back of her head. The loud voice from the speakerphone left no room for doubt. My parents could no longer deceive themselves. The police wouldn't lie. I was really dead. My mom crouched down, hugging her knees, sobbing uncontrollably, repeating, "How could she die? How could she die like this?" My dad sat in silence, removing his gold-rimmed glasses, covering his eyes with his hand. Only Jennifer, upon hearing the phone call, let out a faint smile. She was the only one who already knew about my death the night before, but she chose to keep it a secret. Jennifer's smile, unmasked and obvious, was seen clearly by my mom. Enraged, she stood up and grabbed Jennifer by the collar, demanding loudly, "What are you smiling about? I ask you, what are you smiling about? Are you happy that your sister is dead?" A loud slap landed on Jennifer's face. It was the first time my mom had ever hit her. Jennifer was stunned, then covered her face in disbelief, shouting, "You hit me! How dare you hit me? You're not even my real mother." And Naomi's death, wasn't it your and Dad's wish? Didn't you both want her to die sooner? And now you're crying, regretting. Too late. Naomi is already dead. Hearing Jennifer's words, my mom went mad, banging her head with her fists. crying and screaming with an expression of sorrow I had never seen before. My dad also couldn't control himself and started to cry, so they did shed tears when I died. I had thought they'd be relieved that I was gone, I sneered, coldly watching their farce unfold. After the police finished taking my body and handed my dad a form to sign, they gave him a notebook. It was a winter vacation assignment, drenched and wrinkled from the snow. My dad, trembling, opened the cover. The title page clearly showed Jennifer's name, yet the pages were completely blank. My dad instantly understood something. He glanced over at the guilty-looking Jennifer but didn't say a word. The police officer added, the deceased was holding this winter vacation assignment tightly in her hand. The coroner had to exert a great deal of effort to retrieve it. We thought it might be important, so we brought it back to you. The coroner's report was clear and concise. I had fallen from the school wall, hitting my head on a sharp stone, which caused fatal blood loss. I had gone to the school to retrieve Jennifer's winter vacation assignment. At that time, I had thought that if I could get the evidence, I might be able to prove my innocence, to prove that Jennifer was lying. So, when my parents kicked me out on New Year's Eve, I went straight to the school. The blizzard was so fierce that I couldn't open my eyes, but my heart was light with excitement. Unlike when I was involved in early romance, this time I had evidence to prove my innocence, but I was too happy too soon. Forgetting that the school would be empty on New Year's Eve, even the security guard had gone home for dinner. Looking at the tall school wall, I gritted my teeth and started to climb. It was easy to get into the school, and soon, I had retrieved Jennifer's winter vacation assignment. However, when I tried to go back, I realized that the inner school wall was even higher than the outer one. I looked at the higher wall, then piled some stones together as makeshift steps. Trying to climb over to go home, at that moment, I could see the outside world, but the wall was too high, and my thick clothes made it hard to climb. Just as I was about to get over the wall, I lost my balance. In a panic, I clung desperately to the edge of the wall. As I wobbled, the winter vacation assignment, which I had placed in the pocket of my red down jacket, fell from my pocket and dropped into the snow. I watched helplessly as the assignment was buried in the snow, and for no reason, I started crying, losing all strength as I fell off the wall. My head hit one of the stones I had used as a stepping stone, sending a sharp pain through me. I reached up to feel the sticky liquid on the back of my head and numbly searched the snow for the assignment. When I found it, I clutched it tightly, lying in the snow, gasping for breath, in my dazed state. I thought to myself that I had to take the assignment home, to prove my innocence. Then, I would go to Grandma's house to celebrate the new year and show her the certificate I got for being first in my final exams. But I was so tired, too tired to keep my eyes open. I could only feel the cold snowflakes gently falling on my face, the icy touch. My body felt like it was merging with the snow, just as cold, but with a red stain underneath me. So, this is it, I'm going to die. What a pity. I won't be able to celebrate the new year with Grandma. My parents, in silence, left the police station and arranged for the funeral home to temporarily store my body. Back at home, with the door locked, my mom suddenly pushed Jennifer down, climbed on top of her, and started pulling her hair, slapping her face. Give me back my daughter, you evil star. Give me back my daughter, you liar. It's because of your lies that Naomi is dead. Jennifer, why isn't it you who died? Why did my daughter have to die while you're still living comfortably? Jennifer, unable to endure any longer, fought back. The two of them rolled on the floor, cursing, insulting each other, and tearing each other apart with words. You think you're blameless just because Naomi is dead. You're her real mother. You didn't believe her. You believed me. How ridiculous. Naomi was just a pitiful thing. Her real parents didn't care about her at all. Dying early was her only way out. When my mom's tears ran dry and Jennifer had used up all her strength, my dad spoke up quietly. Enough. My mom sat up, her voice shrill and sharp. What do you mean, enough? What are you talking about? My dad pulled Jennifer into his arms, coldly saying to my mom, I said enough. Naomi is dead. We can't lose another daughter. If you keep hitting Jennifer like this, do you want her to die too? My mom's mental state seemed to have deteriorated after hearing the news of my death. She screamed and tried to snatch Jennifer from my dad's arms, her sharp nails tearing into Jennifer's skin, leaving bloody marks. Unable to tolerate any longer, my dad brought up divorce. My mom froze, and after a long silence, she asked in a dazed tone, What did you just say? I didn't hear you clearly, my dad repeated indifferently. I said, let's get a divorce. Jennifer is actually my biological daughter. Just that one sentence sent my mom into a frenzy. She screamed, laughing and crying at the same time. You've been lying to me. You've been lying to me all along. You and your daughter are both liars, the same kind of liars. But no one paid attention to her madness. My dad packed their things, got into the car with Jennifer, and left. My mom sat on the floor, crying for a long time. Then, she got up, went to the kitchen, found the pork ribs she had bought but hadn't finished, and made a large pot of braised pork ribs. She brought the entire pot to the table, disregarding its scorching heat, and shoved the ribs into her mouth, muttering to herself, Naomi, I made your favorite braised pork ribs. Will you come back and eat them? Naomi, I'm sorry, I'll never ignore you again. Will you come back to me? After finishing the entire pot of braised ribs, my mom slept for 2 days in her room. Then she got up, dressed up, and went to find my dad. I don't want a divorce. I'm sorry. I'll be good to Jennifer, like I used to be. Let me come in and sit down. Please, you haven't eaten, right? Is Jennifer hungry? Let me make you the sweet and sour ribs you love. Jennifer hesitantly nodded, allowing my mom to enter. Soon, a table full of dishes was ready, especially the sweet and sour ribs, which looked and smelled delicious. Seeing my mom pick up a piece of sweet and sour rib and eat it, Jennifer and my dad finally relaxed and began to eat with gusto. The family sat down together, happily enjoying the meal. When Jennifer and my dad collapsed on the floor, foam coming from their mouths, my mom, with blood dripping from the corner of her mouth, smiled as she set fire to the entire rented apartment. After my grandmother recovered and was discharged from the hospital, she begged my uncle to take care of my funeral arrangements. The funeral home had just notified her to come pick up my ashes. My grandmother took my ashes home and placed the urn in the most prominent spot in the house, so she could see me at all times. Whenever she missed me, she could just glance at it. From that day on, there was often a small dish of braised pork ribs, made by my grandmother, placed in front of my urn, because I had once told her, Grandma, Naomi loves your braised pork ribs the most. Please make them for me to eat often in the future. But Grandma, I will never get to eat them again. I'm leaving now. I took one last look at my grandmother, who was in the kitchen making braised pork ribs, before my soul dissipated into the air, leaving no trace behind. From now on, I will become the wind and rain of the world, accompanying my grandmother through the rest of her life. That's all the story. What do you think of this story? Share with me in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.